Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. I'm over here in the VMware hands-on lab, and what I'm doing today is setting up an NFS file share within vSan. So let's go ahead and get that started up here. Nice thing about these labs is they have all the credentials pre-populated, so you don't need to worry about that. So let's go ahead and log into our vCenter server and vSpehre here. So the first thing we're going to want to do is to validate that we have the NFS sharing service up and running within our cluster. So we're going to go ahead and click on this, and then we're going to go over to configure, and then we'll scroll down to vSan services. And then we want to make sure the file services is enabled, in which case it is in this lab for us. So we've already got that up. So we're going to go ahead and create our NFS share now, and that's simply clicking on our file shares. And then we're going to go ahead and click on add. And then we're going to go ahead and name this VM shares NFS. And we're going to leave that protocol NFS, and then it'll share out through both 4.1 and 3.3 NFS protocol. Go ahead and set some quotas on these. So we'll set the hard quota to 5, and then the other one to 10 for the share hard quota. And then click next. And then we want to allow access from any IP. So go ahead and click on next and finish. And we're going to give that a second, and it's going to create that NFS share out there for us. So now that we've got our share set up, we want to go ahead and click on this, and then we can go ahead and copy the path. So I'll go ahead and do that now. And we're going to copy the 4.0 path. And then after we do that, we want to go ahead and log into one of our Linux systems here in our cluster. So we'll go ahead and start this base one is what we're going to connect to validate that our NFS share is functioning. So let's connect to that guy through the PuTTY session they set up for us. And we're just going to want to simply paste that in there. And then we're going to want to go ahead and type our mount command. And then our mount point. In this case, it's going to be already set on this particular system. So let's go ahead and mount this NFS share to that MNT new FS. So after we mount the file system, we want to go ahead and validate that it's correctly mounted, in which case we can do echo command to validate that that is properly mounted. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we can see that we've got that file share mounted on our Linux system here, and that it was mounted to NFS 4.1 in particular. So now we want to go ahead and verify that we can write to that. So let's go ahead and get into that mount point here. And then let's just create a quick text file within there here. So let's just validate that it wrote that file and the text that we put in there. So as you can see, that created our file, and then that created the mount point looks good there. So next we're going to validate that we can connect from NFS3 file system on this same system. So what we're going to do is we're just going to copy that path here. And paste that over here. Next, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing essentially, but we have to put in some extra information on an NFS3 mount point. So we're going to go ahead and type mount -t NFS -ov version equals 3. And then we're going to type our mount point at the end. All right, so next we're going to do that same echo command, and then we're going to validate that we see that, or the mount through the rep, same thing we did last time. Okay, so as you can see, we've got that mounted now, and we've got it mounted to the 3.0 file system right here. So next, we're going to go ahead and validate that well, we've already validated that we can connect that. So let's go ahead and move on to creating an SMB share here in our system so we can connect to this vSan file share through SMB through Windows. So let's go ahead and click on Edit Domain. And then we're going to simply use the default file service name. Everything will stay default here. I think that's going to be the server that we're going to use for our connection. So let's go ahead and type that one in there. And that is going to be on this particular one, VCF SDC lab. And we're going to leave these as default, but on here you have to get rid of the @ sign. Doesn't want that. So go ahead and click on next. And then that's going to show us everything that we've got in our setup. And we're going to go ahead and click on finish. And let's give that a second to create that SMB share. And then once this is completed, we're going to go ahead and validate that we see that is set up under the services for our vSan. It should show our Active Directory domain in addition to our AD username. So once this is complete, we'll validate that. Okay, so we've got that set up now. So let's make sure that we see that service under our vSan services, where we should now see our Active Directory name in addition to the administrator under file services. So now we have our AD domain and then our AD username there. So that looks good. So let's go back and create SMB share now through our file share under the vSan. So we'll go ahead and click on that, and then we're going to go ahead and click on add. And now we should have an option for SMB under our drop down here. So let's validate that we've got that. We'll go ahead and name this SMB shares. And then they're going to select SMB for our protocol. I'm not going to select anything there, but we'll set up these same quotas as we did in our NFS. All right, so that looks good. Let's push that through and let's get our SMB share set up. And then once we get our SMB share set up, we should be able to connect to it directly through the server here as one way we could connect to that share. So let's see if that works as planned. All right, so now we've got our share set up. Let's go ahead and copy the path here. So click on our SMB shares and let's see if we can copy this SMB path. Um, and then let's see if we can connect to that through here by mapping that drive. Unfortunately, the copy and paste functionality seems to be somewhat broken there, so let me manually get this set up here. All right, so as you can see, we were able to connect to our share, our vSan file share. So let's just make sure we can create a text document. So that looks good. So we can connect to our SMB share now through our vSan SMB share. So that looks good. You could also run that command and connect to it through that way. But essentially, that's just a couple quick ways to set up a file share within your vSan. And it is pretty useful when it comes to creating a file share repository that you want multiple systems to be able to utilize. You can set performance metrics and other things on there as well. And of course, you can always create snapshots and other things with these as well. So there's quite a few different things you can do within there. But yeah, it's a pretty handy tool or a pretty nice functionality. There's a lot of other things that you can do in these labs. For instance, if you wanted to see what this explanation point is here that's already set, it says vSan recommendations alarm, vSan build recommendations engine. And then you can acknowledge that, or you can also go under the monitor, and then you can go down to your vSan health, Skyline Health, which is a nice utility to look at the overall health of your environment. And then you can see what types of things that you can address in here. You can look at, for instance, all systems, or you can look at these, and then you can read the recommendations and then possibly troubleshoot these issues that Skyline Health is finding, which is a convenient place to look into it. And then you can also go under here and then you can click on the categories if you wanted to just filter by a specific category. So for instance, you got your online health, and then if we wanted to look at our file services that we set up, we can also look at those through here, which is convenient. So let's take a quick look at our file system health. So we can see our shares set up in here that we set up. You can also get some additional information on your shares if you click on here, and then you can do current results, or you can go to share health and view history details or silence alerts. But this is a pretty convenient tool to look at your file systems that you set up and make sure everything is in good state. So I hope this is convenient, and you can also log into these servers here through PuTTY to do other things. If you wanted to connect to your vSan VCSA, for instance, you would just start that up. System seems to be a little bit slow today. I think this system is being taxed, so I'm going to have to end this lab now. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope that this was good information.